Okay, I'm back. I picked out some words. I added those on, glued things down. I also did just a little bit of black, outlining this white to make it stand out a little bit. I did change up the number, and I added, picked out some words, made out a phrase that I wanted. And now I'm going to trim up. So a lot of these stickers, you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see real close. I'm trying to keep that glare out of there. It's okay. They'll, if they come over the edge a little bit, you know, your main design's on there, but they have a little bit of a border of the plastic. So I'm just going to trim, first I'm going to trim the lace here, or the paper lace. It's not real lace. So it's really kind of nice to work with. Then I'm going to go along, okay, so I got a little piece of sticker hanging over there. Sticker hanging over here. So I'm going to trim that up. And there's some more down here. So again, don't feel you're limited to where the sticker actually ends, as long as your image is on there, okay? And then, so again, I changed up the butterfly too. I wanted something a little bit smaller and neater up there. These pieces I save. They're great for doing clusters and things of that nature as well. Okay, I lost some sunlight, so hopefully the light, I have it on low. Hopefully that'll be fine. And so then I'm like, am I done with it yet or not? Sometimes people will put the bling on the center of the butterfly. I would have to cut that down a little bit. You know, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Again, this is part of the auditioning, right? Kind of see what works. If more makes it look great. If not, back off too much. Yeah, I kind of like that. Adds a little bit to it. Nothing really in my face, but just adds a little bit. So I'm going to glue that down real quick. And the other thing, as far as this black and white image here, I'm still kind of contemplating. It's something I don't have to decide right now. And you're going to get to those points. And sometimes you may make a quick decision just to get it done, and then later you may regret it, right? I wouldn't want to lose the whole card. But again, it is paper. If you have the supplies, and you can redo your card or want to redo your card if you mess it up, or try the image doing it before and then audition it with just black and white, and then you know, doing something to it. My thoughts were either maybe add some color to it, very lightly, very subtle color, some with pencil or Copics, or you know, whatever you want to do, watercolor. That's not on watercolor paper, so you know, be careful about that. But just to add a little bit of color into the flowers, maybe maybe a little bit of green into the leaves. Or there's also leaving, you could fussy cut the image if you wanted. I didn't want that much more of the background showing. I want it to complement my focal points, not overtake it, right? But I also could just go around the edges with like a blue or a green, just to have like a little bit of a soft background on it. So there's some options there. So since I've already stuck it on and I wouldn't want to waste my card, another option is, again, I would just take, I have another, this is a printable. I would just print another one out and I would play with that, see what it ends up looking like, and then kind of put it over and see if I like it or not. So don't always feel that you're stuck with what you have once you've done it. There's always options later to change it. And again, it's about auditioning. It's about kind of what works, what you like, what you don't. I did also round the edges on that card here. So now it's like on this card, Again, I'm not going to ink the background or anything, or around the edges, other than what I already did. But do I want the squared edges? I kind of, no. I think I'm going to round them. And I don't know if I want to use a half round or a quarter round. So sometimes what I will do would just do the quarter round, because I can always up it right to a half inch, but I can't back out of a half inch. So maybe I'll just do the quarter inch, see what it looks like. Yeah, see, it just adds a little bit. The other option too is make it look like a ticket if you have the ticket punch. It's really easy, which would be your stub. There is also the deco option, and you could also use that. But if I use stub, what a stub does is going to be like a ticket stub. It's going to do a inverted circle around the edges. And sometimes that adds character as well. So let's just go for it. All right, I'm going to show you what that will look like. Make sure I got stub and not deco. Yes, okay. So I'm going to punch the edges. And it's not a huge thing. But again, it just adds a little bit of character. Again, like I said, sometimes just the little details can make a difference in the way the whole card looks. So there you go. That's what it looks like with the stub. Okay, so it's just a little bit something different, and it just added a little bit of character. Those are really simple little things that you can do to your journaling cards to take it just from something flat and get a little bit more life. Okay, so that's how I work with a plain, or I should say a patterned piece of scrapbook paper or any other kind of paper you have, especially if you're using scraps. To me, a lot of these pattern papers from my scrapbooking, they're scraps to me because I'm never going to use them. They were either in a package left over, whatever. And so, hey, this is great for junk journaling. Okay, so that's the second way that I do a card. Third way, and the final way that I'm going to show you today anyway, is kind of doing a collage. There's many ways to collage. You can rip and tear. I have some pieces here that I pulled to kind of show you, so and coordinate some things together. Again, I always audition my stuff, so I never go into it with a full-fledged, this is my plan, right? So again, I'm not really sure what size I'm going to do. A lot of times too, if rather than doing a collage, if you're ever really sometimes you just got to get started instead of just staring at the blank page. I've done that so many times, wasted so much time. It's better just to get something down and get it started. Even like on this last one, right? I can set it aside. I had to figure out what kind of, these were all just words. So what did I want to kind of put together and make my own sentence, right? I did have some other ones that are sentences and phrases, but they were tinier, and I wanted something bigger and bolder for it. So again, you can always just put down a sheet or cover your card with book page, sheet music, anything like that for a base, or even pattern paper, and then kind of build off that. But kind of for a collage, and I'm going to do it a little bit different, but a lot of times you rip your paper and you put it down. I don't always do that. It depends on how I'm layering it. So here are some of my pieces. I forgot where's my focal point. Okay. And I know I had another phrase. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll hunt for that in a minute. I don't want to turn off the camera right now for that, but, oh, Here we go. I knew I had it. And a flower. Okay. Oops. And I thought I had another phrase that went vertically, which was one of the ones I thought I was going to use. All right, I don't see it, but I'm not going to waste time. All right, so here's just some papers that I pulled. Just some combinations. And again, I don't really know what size I'm going to make this or how it's going to kind of turn out, so I'm just going to play it by ear. So let me just kind of run through a little bit. I'd really want this like turquoise in here. And so this piece is going to be a little bit longer. So depending on how my pieces come together, we'll probably decide. I'll cut and trim it after that and see where my focal point hits on that. Okay, so you can see this one's a little bit shorter. Now, this blue isn't really working for me right now, so I'm just going to throw that aside. Do I like this better like this? And so if I did that like that, that's roughly going to be about 4.5 inches. That's a, oh, and your journaling cards do not always have to be rectangular, right? They can be square. There's no hard fast rule on what size they have to be unless you're doing a swap. Always make sure you check your sizes on tags and journaling cards, pockets, whatever, even your journals, your finished journals, for the sizes. It's very important that you follow those rules. Okay? All right, so I was just reaching for some things there. But I also have this piece of, that has a sunflower, because I wanted to incorporate some other color into it too. So, yeah, 4.5 makes a decent width, but I'm a little short here. So, I could either add book page to it, and this card's 6.5. My image here, oh, and I forgot I had this piece here that I wanted. It's got the blues and the yellows, and it's a little bit more subtle. I think there's a right way up with this. You gotta check the writing sometimes. Yes, there is. Okay. But I may just like put that down in this corner here. Okay. Whereabouts do I want this? And put it off to the left there. It'll sit. Now, this again, I can fuzzy cut it right to the lines if I wanted to. I didn't. I just kind of tore around it. Being very careful not to lose fingers, or top of his head here got a little frayed. I do want to ink it just slightly. Again, just to give it a little bit more definition against the paper. I know there's a lot of people that don't ink at all, and it looks nice, just as, I'll say just as nice. Looks very lovely too. So it depends on if you're inker or not, if you even have inks, or you want to invest in some inks. I pretty much the full palette of Tim Holtz from when they originally came out. I have not bought every new color since that he has come out with. I have bought some, but I've learned I bought the full palette, especially when I was card making and scrapbooking. Maybe 75% of them I don't even use. Okay, like I don't know if it's lemonade yellow or something like that, right? I just don't use them unless I am doing painting or something like that. Okay. So be more cautious. I mean, your basic colors, sure, you might want like black soot if you're going with the Tim Holtz colors, that is, or you basically want like black, some browns, and I like to have a green, and more your neutral, natural earthy kind of tones. Browns, there's about 4 or 5 of them. Same with the greens. Okay, so I'm just trying to get an idea here. Okay, so then maybe this will go down here. I don't, oh, this looks like it might be upside down. Yeah, okay, so the writing goes that way. Okay. And I don't want this too close to that, or this too close to that. I want to spread that out a little bit. This is just a scrap piece left over from another thing. But since my paper kind of only goes up to here, I'll probably stick with that. I can even move this over a little bit and make it a little bit narrower. So say I put a piece of book page behind there. Now most of the time I would probably tear the corners or the edges, at least 1 or 2 of them. But I'm not, you don't always have to do that. So for this I'm not going to, because most of it's going to get covered up anyway. Okay. And then I'll probably put this, like I said. It's going to kind of cover up the edges. So not really going to see that too much. These 2 pieces here, do I like them on the same side? It does show the background a little bit, but it adds color, and you know, again, you're looking for balance as well, just as important. Okay, so let me just take from my top glue book page, and I'm just gonna rip a little section. Doesn't even really matter. But I do want to make sure I get some writing, or mostly writing. Sorry, my waist bends over. That's why I keep leaning over that way. So if my voice kind of fades out there, I apologize. Okay, and just kind of put that behind there just for, again, to fill that spot and get an idea. Okay. So yeah, so you can collage bits and pieces together. I think if I just go up this high, kind of leaves a lot of room up there at their heads. I could probably come up like this, so it's not as defined, but I kind of like that little squirrely writing there. So maybe I only make my card to here. And again, this is all just part of the process. So don't feel like you don't know what you're doing. It's like I said, it's called auditioning, right? I might not even need that book page. It depends. If I fill my card up enough with what I have, I don't want to have a lot of empty space. So maybe I cut that down, or again, I just layer this over there and make it look more staggered. Okay. And then put that like that. Kind of make it, again, a little bit softer. And maybe it's only going to be like that. Okay. Maybe I don't even need this piece. Okay, so here's where we play around, right? And again, as you can see, I pushed this in just to show you, because I would be cutting that off, right? So I'm just tucking it under to get an idea right now how it's going to look. Okay, so yeah, maybe I do that like that. I can put this to the edge like that. And then I had, like I said, I don't think I'll use these. Oh, and I had pulled some flowers so that I could add more yellow into it a little bit. Maybe put that behind them a little bit. Sorry, I keep forgetting about that glare. I'm sorry. or bring it out here a little bit more. Now this does have a little bit of a gold trim on it, and that's, you're going to see a lot of a shine and reflection off of that. But and so I could either just go plain like that, not have a saying, or just put one word on it. Like I said, I did have a couple phrases here, and the backgrounds are in the color. Okay, my love is selfish. I cannot breathe without you. So that's something that might be able to go down here. Okay, not going to be able to see it real well, but I could always widen this out. Like I said, I have room to do that. And I can, okay, still have room. I can widen out some more. So I want to see how it's going to look. I can always pull this up more to add more color. And then I want to get to where his feet is not covering up the same. But do I want the flower by the flower kind of thing, right? So this is where you get into where you can move things around. If I put this up here, it's going to fit better. And I don't have to bring my card out so wide. Because again, you want to think about the size of your journal. If your journal is like 5.5 inches, you don't want to make it too much more. So this right now I'm at just over 4 inches, so that's fine. But yeah, my saying will fit there, right to the edge. That's kind of okay. I got room for some flower up there. I can add this down here for some color. And again, it's okay if the edges are all squared. They don't have to be torn. But sometimes it adds character, right? So it just depends on your personal preference. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. Depends on the card or the tag. Okay. And so now I want to kind of see, do I want this left open like that? So let me take, here's a blank piece of paper. So if I imagine if I cut that off like about there, am I happy with that? Yeah. You know, again, I don't want to overdo things. I do have this nice piece that would go here. I could pop that under here so it's a little bit more muted instead of using this piece. But rather than pull it all apart, I'm just going to slide it over it and see if I like the not so bright look as opposed to the bright look with the yellow, the bigger yellow flowers on it. And again, this is all, there's no right or wrong. In art, and technically it's arts and crafts, right? But it is art. And there's no real wrong. Not everyone might not have the same taste that you have. Not everyone likes antique or vintage. Not everyone likes shabby chic. A lot of people do not like pink. I love pink, but I also love this teal. I love it with brown especially. That's why I kind of like the muted or the natural colors here, the tan. I love tan and black. So anyway, in this image here, I did tear off of a piece of sheet music that I had gotten. Can't remember the name of the song. It was very old tunes from long, long ago. I didn't even recognize the names of them. That's how old they were. So it was probably from the 20s or 30s anyway. And then, yeah, and just play with it, move it around, and see what you like. And I don't know. I kind of, I'm not sure if I like the softer. And again, I can cut this down here to this page so it isn't sticking up above that. But I also like the contrast. I'm very much about the contrast. I think it just kind of gives it that extra boost, right? It ties in the flowers more. Yeah. I think I'm going to go, I'm just going to go with this one. I think that's what I like. Okay. So the easiest thing, I don't need this now because I'm going to keep it shorter. So don't need that. So what I'm going to start to do is, I know this is where I want my end to be. And again, I don't want to waste paper. You don't have to, be as particular about it as I am. I'm going to take, it's not very often I use a pencil. I don't have my pencil, I just use my pen. Just to kind of mark a little bit here is where I'm going to cut. It may not be a perfect edge, and that's okay. I'll straighten it back out with my cutter. Because I'm going to do that, I'm not even going to pull my cutter. Right now I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to cut a little bit above the line. And again, I like to ink. I'm not going to ink on this. I might ink the outside, but I'm not going to bother inking each individual little piece. So this is where I was ripping off samples there. You ever have static and a piece of paper just doesn't want to come off your hands? Okay. Especially when you're peeling those stickers. Backing on the stickers, boy oh boy. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here in frame. But I'm just, with my glue stick, gluing the back of the paper. Set that aside. Hopefully the glare is not bad for you guys. Okay. Like I said, I kind of knew that that's where it was going to be. So I'm going to go there. I know my mark's up there, so I know that this was a straight edge here. So I want to try to make this as straight as I can. Which again, you can use your matte lines. But I'm just going to, so again, you can always trim it out and make it square after, okay? Next, I'm going to do this piece, because even though I can tuck that under, sometimes when we use our scraps, we create new scraps or more scraps, but they're going to be smaller scraps. And even though maybe a little strip, I will use it at some point. Just as like a piece of trim or something like that on a page. So again, I want to make sure I get this the right side up. And I'm just going to butt it. It's more important for me to butt it up next to this piece of paper. And luckily for me, yes, it works out flush with the bottom. Because I can always trim off whatever isn't even. Even if I come up short, I can trim that off with my trimmer and square it back up. Okay? Now here, again, I'm not going to bother. I think this is my straight edge though. But it's not as intense up there. But again, I'm covering it up, so it's close enough. So I'm probably going to go to there. But again, because I got my glass mat. Now, that's one thing I don't glue directly on. The glass is fine because I can easily wipe glue off very easily with a wet wipe, alcohol wipe. But when you're using your self-healing mats, adhesive does not come off as easily on those, especially glue, wet glue. So always use your glue book or something that is easily, throw away. The book pages are great, especially when you got a book, a hardcover book, that you want to use the book cover for your journal cover. Let's see, I was going to put that on the wrong way again. Yeah. I wanted a little bit more of the darkness in that up in the corner. Put that up a little bit so I don't have any white showing. Okay, and see how I'm over here? Normally I would try to keep that piece, but like I said, for the way I'm doing it right now. But see how it gets on my mat there? It's okay. It's okay because I'm going to use a wet baby wipe and it comes right off. You will ruin your self-healing mats if you do it the other way. Okay, still using that, so I'm going to keep that out. Okay, so you can see where this is a smaller card. Now, right now, this is a little wet and tacky. I'm just going to kind of run the wet wipe down there just because of trying to get this video taped. But normally I would let it dry before I went and I cut it, because I don't want to get glue on my trimmer and whatnot. But like scissors, I use wet wipes and alcohol on them all the time. So it's really easy when you have, again, like a thick base, to run your scissors right along that as a guide. And you're pretty much going to hit it pretty straight most of the time. But either way, I'm still going to take it to the trimmer. I just don't want to have a big glob of glue on the end. Now I could let and sit this dry and still use it later, what the heck. I'm going to try. If not, I just throw it out, right? Nothing lost. Okay, so while that's a little bit, it's not too bad, I'm going to go ahead and get my, just want to cover my glue. Like I said, I don't like to let it get dry. And I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz small trimmer. There's a lot of Fiskar ones too. I only really use my big trimmer when I'm dealing with a bigger size paper. So I know that this is a flush edge here, right? So I'm going to make sure I'm in frame here. So as you can see, when I push this back, okay, remember I hand trimmed it? If you